Welcome to the Final Hour podcast, coming to you from the original Living Word Christian Center out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. My name is Jim Hammond.
I'm Lonaiah Farrell.
And I'm Baltimore, Medina.
Hi.
Hi.
This is our first ever fill-in for one of the others when they're gone.
One of the others.
John's another, I'm another.
This is the replacement other.
I'm the replacement.
Yeah, he is. John is on paternity leave, right? Is that what it's called when you're dad? Yeah, because he had a baby. Little boy.
He didn't have a wife. Yeah, his wife had a baby.
His wife had a baby.
Technicalities.
So
he'll be back in July, I believe. Baltimore's with us.
So I'm here for the whole month of June.
Yay.
That's right.
He's one of the pastors here at Living Word, and he's a good friend of ours, and he likes the coffee in our office, so we talk to him a lot. And
he's funny, so hopefully he'll bring some extra.
I hope you think I'm funny.
He's I would say, more funny than the average person.
Than one of the others. I'll let you choose.
That's not true.
I'll let you choose. I'll give you
go
a run
ahead
for your
and
money.
choose.
Well, hold on. And then we have Jeremiah.
Jerry.
Hi. But before we get started on today's podcast, I'm really sad John isn't here for this because this is a big moment in the final hour.
I think it's huge.
It is huge.
I really do think it's huge.
It's a big moment.
It's monumental.
It is.
Pivotal. I think it's something that everybody's going to remember.
It is. So a couple weeks ago it was last Wednesday. Last Wednesday night with Rabbi Jonathan Kahn, which is a great episode.
Yes, go watch that.
If you haven't watched it. The service and the Final Hour podcast was great. But Jim made a statement in the service. We're going to take a moment and reflect on that. Jeremiah's going to put it in.
I had the honor of taping a podcast with Rabbi Kahn today. We call it the Final Hour podcast. We do it every week. Yes. And so that will be airing on Tuesday night at midnight, this coming Tuesday night. I know, that's an inside joke, but...
Jim made a Biden gaffe where he said the wrong thing. Did you? Or did you mean to say it?
I absolutely meant to say it.
Okay, so this whole time...
I knew it would get a reaction.
Would it? Do you believe it, though, that it really is?
No, that's so dumb.
Huh. Well, anyways, in honor of that gaffe, we have a gift for you.
It's only appropriate.
It's only appropriate.
Oh,
because
I thought
also
we were going to play the video.
We did.
Oh, we did.
Jeremiah
Okay.
played it.
All right.
So,
because...
you have to open it like this. And it opens that way.
We got you a Biden award because not only did Jim make a Biden gaffe, but also we had a congregation. Jim,
It was.
do you know what a gaffe is? It's like one. Okay. So also there was a congregation member that said that Jim. Oh, look, it says President Hammond looked like a young Joe Biden, right? A couple weeks in service. Yeah. So there you go, Jim.
You're constantly being humbled if you go out and talk to the congregation at all.
It's true.
Yeah.
I was called
Growth.
stout.
Sturdy.
Short, stout, sturdy person. Jim was called Biden.
I had one guy try to crush my hand the same weekend. He was shaking his hand. He tried to show me that he could crush my hand. That was a scene. Then
Did he crush your hand?
Of course not.
He could have. He was that strong. And then someone else said I look like a young Joe Biden. So.
But Jim corrected everyone and said he was a young Robert Redford.
I just said I always thought I was more like a 50-year-old Robert Redford. So you're being humbled. That's what it is. You're constantly.
So you got the Humble Award.
The Humble Award? Did you see the tie? Look at that. It's practically the same outfit you had on.
It is, isn't it?
Legitimately, that's
Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
Wow.
So anyways,
Okay.
there's your award, Jim. We can put that up in the office.
Yeah, we'll just leave it right here.
Right
We'll do it
there.
every
I
week.
don't think I can look at Biden's head shaking he should be staring off that way then if he's going to be on the podcast. No, you know how he stares off.
We'll have him staring that way.
Yeah.
We'll have him
He
staring
wouldn't look
you.
at the camera because that's not what the man would do. He would stare off.
But the fact that he keeps moving his head it's perfect.
It is.
I did see him sleeping at the commemorative.
Juneteenth celebration with Kirk Franklin?
No.
Oh.
Well, that too.
That was last
No,
year.
this was over at the D-Day celebration in France.
Oh, well, I think
Yeah.
there were some other things that people think happened because he got rushed off the stage. And all of a sudden, Emmanuel Macron turned around, was like, "Where's Biden?" And realized he had to run up and thank the the veterans for their service.
Because
Biden's just
had to be whisked off the stage real quick, and there's no proof that he went to the bathroom on himself, but that's what the internet's saying.
It is.
Okay. Anyways.
Actually, Kevin McCarthy was on Jesse Waters last night talking about President Biden, and he says he gets really mad when he has the cards that he's holding. So he just starts asking him random questions, and he said Biden gets so frustrated that he just stops and stares, and he doesn't know what to do.
Stares into
the
sky.
Anyway.
Well, that's our president.
Yep.
And so...
The United States president, not...
So, yeah, not the president of Living Word here, but...
Yeah.
And so these things that we're going to be talking about, have you been... Do you feel like you've been sufficiently funny so that we can continue?
Well, there's really no way to present an award with humor when it's such a serious, excellence of strategy
Excellence of strategy
one. That we had to present it with,
I think we put it up here every week.
He just bugs me.
Does he?
Yeah. But sure, we can keep it every week, Jim, if that's...
All right. Well, it means a lot to me. And so...
I'm glad it touched your heart.
Yes.
Yes. And so, these things that we're talking about today are not just... These aren't just things we come up with. These are things that have not only been predicted for a year, by many independent journalists. And what I mean by an independent journalist, they're journalists that they don't have the woke agenda of CBS, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, CNN, or even your sketchy Fox News. I feel as if that is who you have to look at. You have to look at the independent guys that are just reporting what they see. And but a lot of these guys, you could say they in a sense these were prophecies. Some of them are Christians, some of them aren't. But we're just trying to put things on your prayer radar. All right. Yep. What does a radar do? A radar tells you what is coming. Whether if it's a aircraft radar, weather radar, it's showing you what's there. It's showing you what's coming. If you don't know what to pray, simply look up Psalm 94 and pray verses 12 through 23. If you don't know what to pray, which we will do later in this episode. But right now, for Psalm 94, 12 through 23, I pray once every day. I not only cover our nation and our government and Israel, but I cover recently the EU, Russia, China, France, and Great Britain. Why not just put them in? And so these very common scriptures, you've probably heard 30 times, maybe more on the Final Hour podcast, describing what is happening now. This is for now, what the Apostle Paul was writing here. He says in 2 Thessalonians 2:3, let no one deceive you or beguile you in any way, for that day will not come except the apostasy, the great falling away, a predicted falling away of those who have professed to be Christians. Until that has come, the man of lawlessness will not be revealed. So that comes first, all right? He goes on, you skip a few verses, he's still talking about the end times. So there's going to be a falling away. And we've watched this. I look at the number of people, I see people coming back that had left, but that it's almost astounding, the people that have walked away from church. And if you're in church every week, or you're from our perspective, you get to see that. And so, but what it says about the church in verse 6, now you know what is this restraining the Antichrist from being revealed. It is so that he can come, be revealed at his appointed time. God has an appointed time for him to come. Verse 7, so something is restraining him, all right? And I know you guys know this, but it says in verse 7, the mystery of lawlessness, which is a spirit of Antichrist. We're talking about this lawlessness today. That hidden principle of rebellion against constituted authority is already here. It's here before he gets here. But it is restrained by the church only until he who restrains the church is taken out of the way. That's the rapture. Then there's no spiritual restraint. Everything is cut loose. The school shooting, spirit of murder, the first seals. You got a spirit of, a lot of people think it's going to be war. Yeah, war, but it's going to be mass murder. The murders, what do we see? We saw over 350 mass murders in our country last year, one for every day. Well, when there's no restrainer, like just the prayer we pray today, you don't understand, is a restrainer, right? And so when those are gone, all right, it's going to be 1,000 a day. It's going to be off the charts. It's going to be out of control. So according to the sealed judgments, at the very moment, but listen to this now. I want you to think about something. This is not coincidence, what I'm about to tell you. At the very moment that a jury in New York was reading the guilty verdict for Trump last week, same moments. The Biden administration, under the cover of the mass set up, planned news media, hey, look over here, guys. Trump, guilty, guilty, guilty. The Biden administration authorized the Ukraine to start attacking Russia inside Russia using U.S. weapons. And so that's huge because we've got, I don't know what we sent them. We've got some serious ground-to-ground missiles that they can shoot. They can start hitting Russia. So I never knew that, really. I always wondered, well, why can't they shoot the missiles at Russia just inside Russia, just like, Russia's using all those ground-to-ground constantly, every day, because we weren't allowing them, all right? Now that has been lifted. And so...
And they're willing to comply because of all the money we've given them, probably. Ukraine.
Willing to comply, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just saw today that we signed a 10-year pact with Ukraine that we're going to train their military and give them U.S. weapons for the next 10 years.
All these deceptive news networks, their job is to deceive you. We talked about deception. During the great falling away in the last days, you have to be able to you have to watch, first of all. You have to pay attention. And you just can't take everything at face value.
No.
And so we're not trying to run a conspiracy thing here. I'm listening to what was said a year ago, and people said, oh, he's a doofus for saying that.
Yeah. And then you watch it unfold now.
Yes. Yeah. And you're saying, how did he know that? All these deceptive news networks, their job is to deceive you and they run a, hey, look over here. And everyone does. And at the very moment, Anthony Blinken tells Zelensky, start attacking Russia inside Russia. Use our U.S.-made offensive weapons. That's got to be the ground-to-ground missiles, in my opinion, for the most part. I just want to point out, Israel is not allowed to use our offensive weapons. I don't know if you guys knew that in Gaza anymore. We pulled that away from them. And so, in the end, this is a plan. It's going to seem like I'm going from one point to way over here, but I'm going to explain it. This is a plan to get us all back in our houses again. And I'm just telling you.
Lockdown strategy.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. Okay. And I know that seems, but you have to really pay attention. What a coincidence. You had Russia running military drills off the coast of Florida yesterday with their Navy. And so where is this
It was two.
2 days ago?
No, I'm saying it was two ships that they were
submarine
using.
and a frigate.
That had launching nuclear missile capabilities.
And so,
But the mainstream media said it was not a threat. Wasn't a threat, guys.
of course not. See, no, because it hurts the election turnout. Like if the American citizens, well, why do we have the Russians off our coast, right?
Yeah.
With nuclear subs. Where is this going? Look, Psalm 2 calls this schemes, okay? Their goal is to keep you in your home and we're all going to have to mail in ballots.
Of course.
And we all know what happens with mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
Listen, Tucker Carlson was all over this after he was fired from the pretend conservative network Fox News for exposing the truths of February 7th minus a month and a day. February 7th, think about that.
Yeah.
Minus a month and a day. Tucker Carlson had a whole numerous expose on what really happened. He had the cameras. Somehow he got a hold of all the cameras, and he was fired. And then he comes right in on his own deal. He's doing his own deal, and he says, you know, when we're talking about February 7th minus a month and a day, YouTube's looking for keywords.
Yeah.
And from that, they will cancel you, as we've been canceled before, talking about February 7th minus a month and a day. That has gotten an episode of ours canceled. And so, also we say marinara for the COVID vaccine. Did you catch that?
I did.
All right. And so most of you know that marinara is a key word for something else, because I think their AI just is what they do. They just put A on it and it flags you.
But can I say something about the marinara? Because the
marinara is a code word for COVID
vaccine.
I know this seems dumb, but
thank you, Jim.
Okay. Sorry.
But the leader of Japan came out and made a statement. Because remember when all that was happening, they're telling everybody that they had to get the marinara shot, and they're saying that if you don't get it, you're killing people, and that it will hurt everybody. So the Japanese leader just made a statement this week saying that he apologizes because he was wrong.
He was wrong. Yeah.
And that not getting it was the smarter choice, because everybody who got it is actually the ones who are hurting right now.
Everybody that listened to the government and was pressured into it are the ones that made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
But I kind of think, though, that like the people who are pressured into it, I feel like, I pray that God saved them, because they didn't have a choice. Some of them didn't have a choice. They had to do it for their livelihood of their families.
Well, I unfortunately got one because I was trying to go to Israel, and I was so desperate to go to Israel, and I wanted to it was for a vacation, and I was going to go all by myself, and I was so excited, and the whole thing was scheduled, and then this thing pops, and I said, you know what? I can eat or drink any deadly thing, right? And I'm not saying go do that, right? Don't go drink. That's not what you do, right? You don't. But I felt like that I wasn't afraid of it, right? And so, was it a mistake? Absolute mistake. And then Israel shut down. So I get the vaccine.
Do you feel like you had an effect? It had an effect on you?
It absolutely did. It absolutely did.
Because I've heard people say, that have taken it.
Absolutely. I mean, I should say I used to eat right. I haven't eaten right lately, but for the most part, I eat right, and I'll say I don't overeat, and I work out pretty consistently, and I've never had any problems, and suddenly my kidneys were barely functioning. Wow. Just happened to go in and get a complete physical, and they're like, well, and then also suddenly skin, like what looked like age or sunspots, suddenly.
Yeah.
Used to have velvety, beautiful skin.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful skin. And so,
sun-kissed.
I'm just.
I've heard
straight.
that though.
All of a sudden, this pops. This pops on me, like that. And that was just after one. I think as you got
different
more
stages.
and more, it seemed to get worse. But think about that. The leader of the nation of Japan, says that was all a mistake, right? And so next time you need to think about that when the government's telling you
to do something.
You have to do something.
But they use such fear to drive, to force people to get it. It's all fear driven.
They attack the emotion part of it too.
Yes, they do. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. If they can meet you at your emotions, then they can overexceed your fear and everything else, and that's how they lead it.
I mean, I remember my daughter telling me a story. I know I've said it here before, but she was in Whole Foods and a guy was crying, telling her to put her mask on because he was gonna, she was gonna kill him. And she's like, "You have your mask on." She's like, "Mom, a 50-year-old guy was like crying to me because I wasn't wearing a mask."
And you know what? He's wrong. I wonder if he knows he's wrong.
Oh, when I see people with masks right now, I'm like, have you not read the science that the mask doesn't do anything?
This morning,
Fauci just said it was a lie. with their mask on, alone in their car.
Yeah.
Fauci just
Alone.
said he made it all up. Social distancing, masks, all of it.
But even that, even if they hear that, right, it's all made up.
But
you
it's
still
still
haven't. Yeah, it's mentally in
ingrained
there.
in you.
Some of them
But
just
they
swear.
hide that.
Yeah.
They hide the best they can. You are not going to see it on NBC with Lester Holt that Fauci is saying he made it all
Only
up.
on the Final Hour podcast.
He made the mask, the social distancing. You're not going to see it on CBS, NBC Nightly News, ABC. That the leader of Japan is saying the people that didn't get the marinara shots were the smart ones. You're never going to see that, and that's what makes our media is so deceptive. It is such deception. And so you think about this. You go to great lengths and extremes, and we've got Tucker Carlson's clip, by the way. Please view that. He's a Christian. At least minimally, it was a prophetic statement saying, basically, this is all a play. This is all a play. Tucker Carlson said a year ago, and people thought he was crazy. They want to go to war with Russia in order to lock down the United States. And so it was really early, right? But maybe he did it on purpose because he knew it was coming. And so but once you indict your political opponents, you know you had better win. Because if you don't win and put them away and they get in power, they're going to turn around and they're going to run that game on you. So these people are desperate here, right?
Which the Biden and Harris administration, speaking on Jim's point of that, last week they put out a joint statement saying that if Trump wins, he said, which Trump never said, that he's going to go after them and put them in jail. But they're using that fear to tell people like, hey, don't vote for Trump. Because if you do, this is what's going to happen to all of us on the left side because of everything we've said and done. So they're already starting the fear base of this is what's going to happen. They're just...
But, no one's going to fall for the whole pandemic marinara thing again. All right? They're just not. And so, but 1 year ago, Tucker Carlson said they're going to go to war with Russia. He was way early on this prediction, hugely criticized. This is what they want. And then they get the war. They run a few set up national type attacks in the country, run just even 3 or 4 of them in August, September. They have everyone scared of the Russians, right? Lock them down in November, mailing in ballots. We all know what that outcome is. And if you don't believe that, then you're stupid. Okay. Sorry, I apologize for calling you stupid. We'll just say you're deceived.
Ignorant.
Stupidly deceived. And so last week, taking Putin word for word, he says to all the NATO countries after our little announcement to the Ukraine, he says representatives of NATO countries, particularly in the small countries, must understand what they're playing with. Like that was all he said. And last week, Russia attacked. See, they don't tell you this. They don't want to tell you this, see, on CBS, ABC, NBC. Because it affects how people will vote. The more chaos that's going on, the more, the current administration gets tagged with that, right? Russia attacked a NATO, that is an allied base inside the Ukraine. All right? This is unprecedented. In other words, they're making war on, France, Britain, Germany. Of course, they're going to hide. We don't know if there are U.S. troops in there. Killing NATO troops. Isn't that in there? We didn't hear anything about that. Didn't say anything about that. No. Why are they hiding that from you? And so they blew up F-16s that the U.S. had delivered to go to the Ukrainian pilots. Putin last week signed a decree to allow retaliatory seizure of U.S. assets in Russia. You need to know what's going on because you're not going to see this on American news media.
That's right.
Because they're so deceptive. So Russia is confiscating all U.S.-owned real estate, stocks, and currency inside Russia.
Wow.
This is a huge step, all All right. And most economists say if you attack the reserved currency of the world, which is the U.S. dollar, you do not do that unless you're finished with the U.S. dollar. And so we've talked about the BRICS. It's an alignment of nations with China and a bunch of nations and Russia. They've got now, the BRICS is an attack on U.S. currency of these other nations. We've talked about this in the podcast. It's called the de-dollarization drive. And they've got Brazil, these big countries, Brazil, India, big economies, some of the biggest in the world, China, Russia, South Africa, all are involved in the de-dollarization drive. And a bunch of large, small countries, these are big economies. And what they're trying to do is eliminate the need for the U.S. dollar, which would affect us. It would hugely affect us. People don't understand that. It's called the de-dollarization movement. These countries that I just named have gone to gold. And this is a U.S. News and World Report. The U.S. dollar now accounts for only 58% of foreign exchange reserves.
Wow.
Held by overseas central banks, a record low. And so gold, the most ancient, widely accepted international currency, has chipped away at some of the dollar's dominance and accounting for 15% of the reserves, up from 11% a year ago or 6 years ago. This is from Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa, numerous other countries combined in this BRIC economic alliance, backing their currencies with gold and commodities. According to Russia, this is called the BRICS Bridge Multi-Sided Payment Platform. And so this BRICS currency, what they're trying to implement, backed by gold and commodities, is an attempt to say goodbye to the U.S. dollar. Hence, goodbye to the U.S. economy.
Because we're not already bad in our economy. I was reading this thing about everything that's up. It is crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, and you just...
Milk is $10 a gallon now.
$10
Well, the milk
again.
I buy is $10.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of milk do you buy, Lonaiah?
Well, non-homogeneous.
Tell us what it is and
Yeah,
where you
what
get
is
it.
it?
Supernatural whole milk at Whole Foods. It's called Supernatural. Spread top. It's really good.
So it's got a spiritual aspect to
Well,
it.
hopefully, I hope they pray over their
Supernatural.
cows. But there's no like fillers in it, and
Did you just say you?
I hope they pray over their cows. Is what I said.
right.
How big is the
Milk and
bottle?
honey.
Like
It's a
that big?
gallon.
Oh, it's a gallon.
It's milk. I was telling you about it last week because you're eating cookies, and I was telling you about the milk that
I
we
ate
had.
one cookie.
Okay, one cookie.
I know.
He ate
She had S's. I tried it once.
Eating cookies
With an S.
with an
She
S.
made Baltimore cookies.
She did. Yeah, they're great too.
But what has happened is
See, this is the truth right here.
2 other times she's brought a bag of cookies in for Baltimore because she really is a phenomenal baker.
And now that she got a new pan,
I got
her
a new
baking
pan.
sheet.
I did. It's gone up because Jim was judging my cookies.
Yeah.
We think this batch is better than the last batch.
They're all incredible. Like they're as good as anything you would find anywhere. And so she brings them
I
in
love
for
cookies.
Baltimore, and one time, and he didn't even know, and I ate them all.
Did you catch that? The one time.
There was one
I
time.
texted Baltimore. I was like, I have
Hurry
cookies,
up.
and then I want to see where can I do undo send because you can undo send in your Apple. And
Because by the time she sent it,
I had 14 cookies. I think it was a podcast day.
Yeah.
And so I had 14 cookies, and then
and no milk.
no, which
milk.
is a waste.
Wow.
That's how good they were, though.
yeah, they're good.
You didn't even need milk.
And
Pretty
these
sure
weren't
you had a
even-
glass of water.
And
That's
these
how
weren't
good they
even
were.
the highest level.
Yeah, those are pre-pan.
Jim was like,
pre-new pan.
So
These aren't even your best, Linnea. We don't want to give these to Baltimore as
Listen,
he's
but the fact
pounding
that
them down.
he took the time to realize the difference,
Yeah,
I mean,
he
you got to
did.
give him some credit.
He was judging my cookies.
These are better than
so-
those.
But by 1 o'clock that afternoon, I was like this.
He was done.
I was done.
So now I get text messages from Pastor Jim before Linnea. You need to come get these cookies.
Yeah, he does.
And then she says, I got cookies for you.
It happened twice. I ate the whole bag twice. One time he didn't even know he had them.
I didn't.
She hadn't even told him that he had them. I ate the whole bag. Another time he knew he had them, but he was late and get them. I ate the whole bag. And so the third time I saw the cookies.
I camped out in the office.
I had one
Out of 10.
cookie. And I was like, wow, these are better than the last ones.
Yeah,
Lonaiah.
you did. You did say that.
And I said, better get Baltimore down here.
And he did. Baltimore came down.
Right away.
You get the cookies.
And we shared some.
So
Great time.
So what we're saying, anyways.
Inflation, the economy.
Yep. It's predicted in the Bible.
Rent.
I mean,
all of it.
Everything's going up.
So I drink a lot of milk. So what? I'm gonna go spend $40 on your supernatural milk.
It's so good for you. It's so good for you.
But see, we're talking about being wise. I think we should just pull money and get a cow.
We should. Who's gonna milk it?
We'll call it the Final Hour Podcast cow.
We got to give him a name. Juan.
We could keep him.
We'll call him Juan.
Poor John.
Poor John. He's still here right now.
Yes.
We could keep him in here.
We could.
We could put like
Jerry, can you take care of him?
Only one day.
Only one day.
Jerry
Thursdays during the podcast.
That's what we'll do. We'll each do a day.
There you go.
But are you guys going to kill him when he's like done?
No,
and
we're
eat him
not
for
going to
me?
kill the cow.
All right.
No,
You're just going to make your milk, butter, and cheese?
We'll just make something
Unless
out of
the country went into like a bad situation where it's all for one and one for all.
Yeah. We got
Is
a
that
coat.
how that would be?
Do you know what kind of cow I want? I want a
beef.
Scottish Highland cows. Those are.
Because you think they're cute.
They're so cute.
Lenny, I want a miniature Highland cow.
I
want to call
love
him
them.
Ernie.
Cute, Ernie.
I'm telling you, imagine early a brisk morning, Minnesota brisk morning.
And Ernie
he
comes
opened the
trotting
door,
over to you.
And you're like, Ernie, and all you hear is a little jingle of his bell coming along, and you feed him.
I'll say those cows are something.
They've got hair.
I have a really good picture that I took when I was in Scotland of the cow in the Highlands, and I was like in love with it.
Yeah, I randomly get people sending me on social media pictures or videos of cows because I do. I was like, I used to have pit bulls.
You could, doesn't your neighbor have like a tiger or something? You
or
could
a
get a cow
or something.
Yeah,
it's weird. Yeah.
Well, don't you have like tigers in your neighborhood or something?
Bobcat.
There's something. There's bobcats, and I got
like
4 kids.
In a barn.
It's like a big old shed.
Crazy. Imagine you just hear it roar in the middle of the night.
We do. It's weird.
Again,
How is it?
Can you do that again?
It was like Simba's little roar.
Yeah.
A roar.
Roar.
Oh,
Roar.
That'll scare somebody. Inflation.
Inflation, economy, you're right there.
What we're saying is you have an economic war going on in the background with China and Russia being pushed together. I mean, with all the ability the U.S. has, wouldn't it be smart to divide China and Russia behind the scenes?
But doesn't it make you feel like they're not doing it on purpose?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what
yeah.
It's all like a strategy. Like you think about that, and then you think about the borders and everything they're allowing in, and all these countries. Like how many weeks ago did we talk about that one lady in the Netherlands? Was that like 3 weeks ago? Where she was explaining how they were telling them that they had to allow these people to come into
the immigrants. Like even we had a whole episode where the same thing's happening in Europe. They're open borders. Everybody's coming in, and they're just up in arms over there. They're up in arms, but we don't know that. They don't want us to know that. And so, I mean, think about if you think about the presidents, no one has ever allowed China and Russia to be this close to where they have united against us.
Yeah.
There's ways to play them against each other easily. And so we've pushed them together. We've pushed them together through BRICS. They're making war on our economy. But the point we're trying to make here is we need to pray. We're not trying to scare you. You're supposed to watch here. You're supposed to pay attention and let the Holy Spirit speak to you. And pay attention when a guy says something a year ago and it comes true. I pay attention to that guy.
You should pay attention.
And so this whole trying to provoke Russia into a war and then causing a bunch of make-believe attacks, saying it's Russia. I think I'm just trying to tell you, okay, this locking down the country, I'm pretty sure they know the pandemic thing is not going to fly. And they're going to have it. So they're looking for another way. It's a scheme. And I guess the only thing to do besides trying to get wisdom from God in regards to what is happening through watching, paying attention, this is a message from Jesus Christ himself. Many commentators believe that this is an end times message to the church. One of the letters to the church is coming to the end time church from Jesus Christ. Revelation 3:2. Be watchful. Be watchful. church, strengthen the things which remain. In other words, I know you don't have a seem like you have not a lot left, but strengthen what you have left that are ready to die. For I have not found thy works perfect before God. The next verse. So call to mind the lessons you received and heard. Continually lay them to heart and obey them. And repent. Change your mind, church. In case you will not, rouse yourselves, keep awake, and watch. Pay attention. I will come upon you like a thief, and you will not know or suspect at what hour I will come. And that's up in the air. If that's the rapture itself, we should be watching right at the end, or is that judgment for not paying attention?
Yeah.
Therefore, you do not pray because you're not paying attention. You can say whatever you want. We're just telling you what to watch.
That's right.
That's what we're telling you. We're telling you to pay attention. First, you have to watch before you can pray.
That's right.
And so I've been saying to pray against the elections being canceled for 2 years. This is the first time I said that on the Final Hour podcast. Pay attention. He's telling the church, and so we were looking at Tucker Carlson a year ago. We have a clip of that in the more section. You can see the clip that he said that this administration is going to provoke a war with Russia. That they have no other alternatives outside of causing a mass social unrest situation that they would cause by using a lot of illegal immigrants that have come over the border. A lot of those illegal immigrants are attending the Palestinian protest, the protest of Israel. Why? What is that about? All the mysterious Chinese dudes that have come in by the border. Do you think we're kidding? Hundreds have reported this, all right? But you're not going to see that on CBS, ABC. No one seems to answer that what are the Chinese people doing coming over the border illegally? Chinese men.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, doesn't that put it all into perspective when it's Russia and China against the United States, and now we got Chinese men coming in through the border?
Which we've been telling you for
Military-age
months. And Hamas, Antifa, whatever they do, cause confusion, total destruction. You could just do that with one simulated. It's not simulated, but at the same time. What is that? What is that word? Simultaneous attack in each state at the same time would put this nation completely into confusion.
And didn't we say a couple weeks ago
rather large attack
that there was a member in all 50 states that they had confirmed?
Cells.
Yes,
and that's coming from a sheriff out of Ohio briefing a bunch of people running for Senate, talking about the different cells that are on hold. And so we're telling you what to pray for. But at the same end, this whatever attack, a complete mass confusion, at the same time, they're blaming it on all the skinheads and Nazis and white supremacists, so no one knows anything, right? They use their little servants in the media and blame it on the right. They call martial law, bam, no election. That's right. Right, so we don't know, right? These are things we need to be praying against. And the Russia thing concerns me. But something else that is just, it's just annoying. I haven't seen it. See, I try to watch at least one of the major news networks, national news, every night, just to see what they're not,
what's going on,
what they're not saying, right? And I've looked for this. This is, I'm kind of doing a little bit of Lonaiah's job. Who are you texting there, Lonaiah?
I was looking something up because Mary Maiority, remember I was telling you? She's the Minnesota something. She does something.
Oh, the Attorney General.
Yes, she was saying that Americans shouldn't be afraid of the uprise. We shouldn't fear the uprise of crime and blame it on illegal immigrants. That's what she was saying. We shouldn't be afraid to go into places where the police have been defunded and go into those areas because we're just causing fear amongst
Well, let's see
everybody.
you cruise through.
I was going to say,
Mary ain't cruising through there. She probably lives in Edina.
Well, bulletproof windows.
Yeah, of course. Anyway.
Listen, I don't know if you knew this, but enormous mobs are taking over streets of major U.S. cities on a nightly basis. And I know this is true. Why isn't this on just Care 11 morning show? Like, why wouldn't...
That's too
every night.
harsh for the sunrise.
For the
episode.
sunrise guys.
do it in the
Every
evenings.
night.
Jim's besties.
Huge groups of young people are literally taking over streets in large cities all over America. In many cases, do we have this article in here?
It's a blog. We've referenced Michael Snyder before.
He's legit. This guy is legit.
He's an independent journalist.
Everything he's talked about has been true. Everything he's said is coming, has come. And this guy, we get real stuff from him. Many cases, major intersections are completely blocked off for stunts and dangerous competitions involving vehicles. These events are called street takeovers. They're often accompanied by theft, violence, other acts of crime. You've probably heard about street takeovers happening in big metropolitan areas, Los Angeles, Seattle, New York, Chicago, but it's happening in many rural areas now. In Maine, this has become a common thing in Maine, and the police don't do anything because they're so completely outnumbered, and they do nothing to prevent them. No. These things are in San Francisco.
No respect for law enforcement at all.
So the police have to just watch because they're outnumbered, and a lot of crimes are being committed. People are being seriously hurt. People being dragged out of their cars. I've got examples of Oakland. What went on in Oakland? Cars being burned. Motorists being beaten and hauled out of his car. A Chevy Camaro. They're burning cars, vehicles, and spectators.
Running into people. Raping people.
Yeah, drugs, everything, and it's organized to the point where they're using their cell phone network and data to figure out where the police are going to be at, so they can set up.
Crazy. That doesn't surprise me at all.
There's a sheriff in Los Angeles. His name's Pasaso, and he actually breaks down what they do, and that sheriffs will go. They'll watch and they'll just stand from a distance because they can't do anything.
Sad.
So,
that's what you're defunding the police did, people.
Yeah.
Well, it makes you feel like the whole thing's on purpose.
Of course it is on purpose.
Right? And so, they're looting businesses, and the interesting thing is they're starting to realize that there's a gang. Behind this, I mean, they're stealing fire hydrants out of all the neighborhoods.
Like, come on.
And
that's horrible.
It is horrible.
And so there's a gang. I'm trying to find.
I think it's the next page.
Because I don't want to just sit here and read this.
Tren de Aguas.
Yeah.
What?
El Tren de Aguas.
Tren de Aragua.
Ask
a transnational criminal organization. All right, and so
that's who's organizing it, running it, in charge of it.
They've terrorized for years Venezuela, Bolivia, Colombia, Chile, Peru. A retired General Oscar Naranjo, a former vice president of Colombia and chief of the Colombian National Police, told CNN that train.
That's what it means.
Read
Really?
it. What's
Tren
that?
de Aragua.
Is the most disruptive criminal organization operating nowadays in Latin America, and they have arrived.
Wow.
They have arrived due to our open borders policies, and it seems organized all over America. Our communities are being looted, violent crime, hordes of addicts, criminal gangs, wild throngs of restless youth. Every night is a new nightmare in major cities. And you know what? They're not telling you.
Of course not.
Wow. They're just ignoring it. Why? Why would they do that?
Yeah.
You have to think, why would they do that? And so why would you do that, Joe?
Well, because Joe's let's see.
Because he's staring out to the left.
Yeah, Joe.
Listen to this, okay? First of all, Jim's
don't
saying
know.
that they don't talk about it, but they did on CBS last night. But the news journalist was dumbfounded when she read that 62% of Americans supported deporting illegal aliens. It's all over the right-wing news shows.
Which means it's
was
more like a
shocked.
75.
Of course.
Because none of their figures, you always have to add.
Inflate them, yeah.
All
Yes.
right.
It's inflation.
But the Border Patrol today got a memo from the Biden administration that said in California they want to release migrants from over 100 countries into the U.S. Remember how Biden's saying he's cracking down on the border? Well, he's only cracking down on one location of the border, not all the locations. So it looks like he's doing something against the illegal immigrants that he's allowing into the country.
Yeah, because
but he's not.
It's all in the deception. Remember how we started out the podcast? Because on my little BBC ticker, it said Biden closing southern border.
No.
And I knew that. See,
Yeah.
I saw that 3 mornings ago, and I was like, oh yeah, right. They're closing. This is exactly what I thought. They're probably closing a little part of it.
For sure.
But they're not.
course.
Most deceived Americans, stupidly deceived Americans, will say, oh, well, the borders are closed.
And they're going to say, we don't allow people from countries to come. There's 6 countries that he doesn't allow people to come over from. It's like Uzbekistan.
Why Uzbekistan?
Russia.
That's where James Tan's from.
I don't know. We can
Why-
ask James why when he
that's
comes
what I'm going to
at
ask
the
him
end of
when
the
he
month.
comes at them. I'm going to ask him that.
Let's go more.
But anyway,
What is up with the Uzbekistanis?
I don't know.
That's James Tan home country. How's he able to get in? Okay.
Well,
anyway.
he's already here.
He's already here.
He's here.
He's here, Jim.
He's here.
You weren't done.
No, I'm not done.
I know.
I'm not done. It's just, we're not trying to, look, we're watching.
Can I say something?
What?
It's good news, but it's part of my news. But how we've been talking about how people are fed up. We have, 62% of Americans, which Jim's probably right. It's more like 75% are tired of illegal immigrants. You have all these countries in Europe right now, Austria, Germany, France, who voted right wing to get people into positions to stop all the legal immigration, all of the chaos that the left has brought over the last 3 years. And Emmanuel Macron got so mad with the French parliament from this last week that he called the snap election, which Jim was trying to explain, and I didn't really understand it. But they were so shocked. All these countries were so shocked that they were replaced by right-wing people who were like, no, we don't want this allowed in our country.
Because they don't.
Because we're tired of it.
And we're not saying the right
that's
wing
good
is
news.
perfect, right?
No.
There's some idiots in the right wing, but at least they want to close the borders.
Yes.
All right. And
yes.
so
But it shows you that everybody's borders are open like that.
everyone,
Why?
No
Well, don't you
borders?
ask yourself why?
no borders, no countries.
Yeah.
Yep.
No countries, no governments. Only one government.
Mayhem. Yep.
And so Psalm 2:1, why do the nations assemble with commotion, uproar, confusion? You see the confusion of voices, and why do the people imagine, meditate upon, and devise empty schemes? This is what we're looking
Empty
at.
schemes, but the Bible says that they're empty. They're not going to do anything.
It's
so.
all schemes. Psalm 2:2, the kings of the earth set themselves. The kings of the earth.
He
set
should hold an
themselves-
ice cream cone right now.
Yeah, he should have an ice cream cone.
He should, shouldn't
And the
he?
rulers take counsel together against the Lord and his anointed. And you know what it says? It gives you instructions. Let us break their bands of restraint. So, didn't we use that word restraint? Oh, we opened with restraint. What?
I was going to say, didn't you do a prayer on this? Like, we should attach a prayer that you did in the service like 2 weeks ago because you talked about the empty schemes
This
and
is
the
the
bands.
one.
No, I know, but like you had it in
I
more
prayed
detail.
it. Yeah, we just took this and we prayed
She
it.
said, "This is the one."
Because after every service, no, that was like the band scripture.
Yeah.
We do a 7 to 10 minute prayer for the government, and it's powerful. And it
Not always the government, but
well things that are going on in the world.
yes, yes. At the end of every Living Word service, we do that 7 to 10 minutes, and that was my mom's idea. Which at the first, I complained about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to do a prayer at the end, and then I know another thing to prepare for. But you realize that was God. That was God to get the congregation praying together. That is the restraint. Let us break their bands of restraint asunder.
Yeah.
And then it gives more instruction and cast their cord of control from us. All right. So this is a end time psalm. All right. And it is. It's considered that. And so listen, I pray. Let me just explain this. Psalm 94, 12 through 23. And you guys just chime in on if you get any of this. It says, blessed is the man to whom the Lord, some versions say, instructeth. This says, chasteneth, O Lord, and teacheth him out of your word. I say out of your word, out of thy law. All right? Same thing. That thou mayst give him rest. So this is over our country, right? That thou, in the body of Christ, thou may give us rest from the days of adversity until the pit be dug for the wicked. So you're asking for rest. You're, through all this, you're asking, it's okay to ask for peace. All right? That's what the scripture is doing. And verse 13, that thou mayest give him rest from the days of adversity, right? And so until the pit be dug for the wicked. Then you're reminding the Lord here in verse 14, the Lord will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. As Christians, we are part of his inheritance. He calls Israel his inheritance. We've been grafted into that. We are part of his inheritance. We are literally his inheritance. And so it says, but judgment shall return unto righteousness. You're looking at your whole country here, even looking at China, Russia, the EU. Judgment shall return unto righteousness. See, just a little bit of praying that. You know what I do? I think that's for me praying that over the EU, and they voted back in those people that want to stop close the borders. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's judgment returning unto righteousness. You're praying that, and the upright in heart shall follow it. Who will rise up for us against the evildoers? You're asking that to the Lord. In other words, we're to the point where all we can do really is pray. We can just come to work, stay close to you, keep our relationship strong with you. Really, in all that, if we're listening to you, bless other people, but bring it all to you. That's all we can do. All right? And then judgment returns unto righteousness. The upright in heart shall follow it. Who will? Oh, gee, we've been praying that. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's interesting where the U.S. Supreme Court's sitting right now. Interesting. I think it returned. It made a little turn. Mm-hmm. What a difference in things. Jonathan Cahn's whole book,
Josiah Manifesto,
is in a sense on that Supreme Court judgment. How there was an altar broken in the spirit. Boom. It may not have seemed to do much in Minnesota, right? But it saved, just that Supreme Court judgment is estimated in the first month of that judgment saved 10,000 babies.
Wow.
On a national level. So judgment shall return unto righteousness. So you have to put, things that have happened to this. Upright in heart shall follow it. Who will rise up for us against the evildoers? And in a way, you're just saying, who will, it's almost like it's okay. Who will stand up for us against the workers of iniquity? Huh? Unless the Lord had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. And honestly, this goes with today. It's like, what can you do as you sit there and you watch this?
I know.
The Lord's got to help us. Mm-hmm. And then you say, this is for your country. When our foot slips, your mercy holds us up. You're asking for mercy for your country. And then you're back to the peace thing. In the multitude of our thoughts within us, your comforts delight our souls. That's okay to pray. Seriously, all that's going on, right? And this one, shall these thrones, Russia, China, thrones of iniquity, that's a government, have fellowship with thee, with frameth mischief by all these laws, border laws, transgender laws, laws they've tried to pass, laws on pedophilia. It just goes on and on.
We'll have a good update on that.
Yeah, okay. They gather themselves together against the souls of the righteous, and they condemn innocent blood. You could literally put aborted babies in innocent blood.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're doing up here in Minnesota. All right. That's what we voted for. We're
a sanctuary state for abortions.
We're a shining bright light for abortions up here. You can come here, right? And so And so that's what they're doing. They're gathering themselves up here in Minnesota. This is the state government against the souls of the righteous. Babies that can't even speak for themselves. You don't think that's a righteous? That's a righteous that babies never sinned, hadn't even come out of the womb, up to the point right where they come out of the room, they can kill them, they can murder them. But the Lord is our defense. Our God is the rock of our refuge. You're reminding him. He shall bring upon them their own iniquities. He shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yes, the Lord our God shall cut them off. And then I always add, you brought us into a large place. You delivered us because you delighted in us. I think that's 2 Samuel 20:22. But listen, and all this going on, you have to. It helps me to remember this. With all this going on, you pray that. That's 12 verses a day. I'm just trying to explain in the name of Jesus Christ, Father. And look, Psalm 2:4 says, "He who sits in the heavens laughs at these guys." Okay, the Lord has them in derision. And in supreme contempt, he mocks them. He's talking trash on them. He's mocking them. We don't picture that going on, do we?
Trash on people.
What?
Loophole.
We can talk trash on people.
He's mocking these guys.
These guys.
And laughing at them.
Ugh, he just bothers me. Actually, we were watching at the end of, I don't know how we got onto it, but remember how that we were somebody had put a clip together of all Biden like falling over. And
oh, my word.
You couldn't do anything but laugh because it was just, I don't know, so funny.
Listen, and it made me so mad watching these gaffes that they hide. Like, I mean, literally falling down. Remember when Trump slipped?
At the military Navy game.
At the Army Navy game, Trump slips. And the media is saying, oh, is he even fit to be president? He's losing his faculty.
Mental, yeah. Let's do a cognitive test on him.
If you look up all the things. I mean, he took a dive at one place. I didn't even know about it.
This was
and
Australia doing this.
Why are they hiding it?
Yeah.
Because they don't want us to see it. It's other countries showing us over and over and over again.
All the redirecting
They make him like he's got to like take something before he comes out and talks to people.
Listen, at the
Juneteenth celebration.
Listen, at the when he got out,
he needs Pedialyte is what he needs.
He was sipping something like an undisclosed colored juice.
It was a terrible example for the U.S. at the D-Day. Because first of all, he stole Ronald Reagan's speech.
Oh yeah, he did.
Word for word. All right, he took it. But then they show him getting out of the escalator, whatever it is he's in. He gets out. And he gets
Here,
out,
let's use it. Just do it. Do it with the Biden character.
Honestly, he gets out and he does this.
He's just
and he walks the opposite. Everybody's over here and he walks this way.
So they always redirect him. They're like, nope, it's this way.
And there was another thing.
And nobody's paying any attention to him.
No.
They're all his handlers and his wife, they're all looking other direction. He's just...
And then Macron and
Is
Joe
that a
Biden.
butterfly?
No, listen. Then Macron and Joe Biden look at each other because they notice Biden and they nod and then they all turn the other way.
No,
to make him not look like he's
no. At one point during
disabled.
this thing, he turns around the wrong direction and he's standing and he's facing the wrong direction. And so you know what? Joe Biden and Macron look at each other, and so then they turn around too.
Yeah.
To make it look like
it was part of it.
And it wasn't part of it. It was very obvious.
But then people can't say, "Oh, he's."
Have you ever heard him read Bible verses or quote Bible verses?
Yeah, he's horrible. He can't quote anything. He can read I feel like he has an earpiece that someone says something to him or something.
But is this what they want?
I think so. Of course,
this is what they want. Yeah. They want this.
They voted.
But I feel like
I think they want him out.
But they're going to wait till the end before they pull him out.
It's Geppetto and Pinocchio, right? That's what they want.
It is. You're right.
I mean, honestly, that's exactly what it is. Just stare at Pinocchio.
Found out he was a real boy.
I know. Well, in this case, he's staring at butterflies right now.
Yes.
All you can do is Psalm 2 is another one. These are all prayers, right?
Psalm 2 is one of my favorites.
And listen, all you can do is
pray. What does it say, Lonaiah?
No, it's the whole thing like that these people scheme together and that they all think that they're doing these great things. But then in the end, they lose and God wins.
Yeah,
that's all I need.
Psalm 2,
that's my favorite.
Psalm 2 takes you all the way in the end to Jesus coming back. And so it gets into that when he comes back, it's not, yes, it's a glorious thing. It's an amazing thing. He comes back to Israel. But it says he has to rule the nations with I think it's like an iron rod. Because you know what? They're all used to what they had with the Antichrist. They're all used to war. They're all used to, and so he has to kind of put his foot down when he does get back. So Psalm 2 will take you all the way there, right? But if you're looking for things to pray, just pray that. You won't believe what it would do if you just pray it once a day. Just pray Psalm 94, 12 through 23 once a day.
It does do things.
Yes.
Because listen, are you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
So these are reasons why you pray. All this news is good because we already talked about all the other stuff. But remember when Texas said that they want to start arresting illegal aliens, and the Biden administration told them that they couldn't do that? So they brought it through the circuit courts and everything, and it got to Supreme Court. Well, the Supreme Court voted in favor of Texas, which I tried to look up today because I saw it on some independent journalist thing. There's nothing out there yet. But in favor of SB 4, which allows Texas to enforce this law to arrest and apprehend and remove illegal immigrants from their state. So the Supreme Court voted in favor 6-3. I can only imagine.
That makes me want to cheer.
Yes. So look, your prayers do matter.
Yes.
You keep praying. That's why you vote in people like Governor Abbott, who has been on that since the beginning. I don't know who else worked with him. I'm sure there was other people, and then this is another thing. You know how we've been talking about children and surgeries, and I don't know if I said it on this podcast, but I was at this gym I work out at, and I was talking to this one lady there.
Bougie gym. And
I was talking to this one lady there, and she's explaining that there's a plastic surgery center in Wayzata that does gender. Why can't I think? Transformations for the kids.
Gender. They changed their genders.
Yes. She said they are booked out. Like my daughter, she's 18. I think she said from like 15 to 19 years old. For the next 3 years, they are fully booked day to day, hour to hour, switching people's genders, that this plastic surgery place is booked with that, right? So that like grieved me. I've been thinking about that since I heard about that like 3 weeks ago. But this weekend, I was scrolling through social media and I saw it's called the American College of Children's Medicine. And Dr. Jill Simmons was a pediatrician. She's the executive director of this group. And she was saying, this made me really happy. She addressed all of the organizations, all of the hospitals, all of the doctors, all of the mental health care workers who are trying to tell people, our children, that their gender dysphoria is normal and that they should go ahead with gender transformations. She said, it is time that, I'm going to read her words because it was so powerful. It is time that these American medical institutions, she named all of them by name, follow the science and the lead of our European professional colleagues and cease to promote protocols that harm children, including the promotion of social affirmation, that means calling a boy or girl when it's not, puberty blockers, cross-sex hormone therapy, surgeries for children and adolescents who experience distress over their biological sex. She's saying it is not helping them. It is actually harming them. She did like a 10-minute thing, and she I have it attached, her whole thing. But I was like, all right, look at her. She is like calling them out name by name. And then this was just this made me, I almost wore my Olympic sweatshirt because of this. Leah Thomas.
You did yesterday.
I did yesterday. Someone thought I was really on the Olympic swimming team.
Like, who thought that?
A girl at this like wellness place I go to. She's like, I thought you really were until I saw like the J. Crew
not
badge.
As a rip on Lonaiah. I'm just saying, like,
just in
you see someone in a Olympic
Hey,
sweatshirt and you think they're on the Olympic team?
Hey, I could have been a swimmer. Have you seen Katie Ledecky though? She is a phenomenal swimmer. She swims with a milk cup on her head and goes across.
What kind of milk?
Chocolate.
Anyways,
Supernatural.
I
Supernatural.
Hope so. That's good. Supernatural's
From Whole
chocolate.
Foods.
Supernatural's chocolate milk is the best chocolate milk I've ever had in my entire life.
This is what I normally tell people. I don't believe you until you bring it in and we try it with cookies.
Okay.
Next time on the
gotta
podcast,
Go
we
buy
need
it
to.
yourself. It's $10 a gallon.
Well, I mean,
I ain't supporting that.
You
No,
can for once.
I'm going by. Matter of fact, come by this afternoon. I'm gonna go for lunch. I'm gonna go buy the Whole Foods Supernatural milk.
Do it. You won't regret
gallons. I'm gonna spend.
You're gonna spend $40, and you're gonna bring them all back to church. 40 gallons of milk. Make sure you get a chocolate.
I'm gonna bring 3 of them home, and then I'm gonna bring.
You're gonna drink them that fast?
It takes me about a week.
For 3 gallons?
4 gallons.
4 gallons?
Yeah.
In a week?
Jim, make sure you get a chocolate one though. That is.
Don't write in and tell me
how bad
That's
dairy
too
is
much
for you.
milk.
The Dairy Association of.
But it's from Whole Foods, so it's good.
Hey, it's
I'm
better
just saying.
calories than Doritos. No?
Well,
He's
Doritos
not looking at
has
me
a
like, I don't eat
seed
Doritos,
oil
so it
in
wasn't.
it that causes you to actually be hungrier than you are, and it causes your brain to like keep eating
What?
junk food.
What the-
Doritos. There's like a seed oil.
Yeah, yeah.
seed
Or
oil?
I've started a health journey.
like
She's
milk.
gonna start a podcast.
I should.
Healthiness with Lonaiah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 3 gallons a week. I do buy 4 gallons, but it lasts me a little longer than a week. It's 3 gallons.
Thank you, Jim. I was really concerned
Well, I
about
don't
how
want-
much
I'm trying-
milk
so
you
gallon
drink
a
a
day.
week.
to exaggerate.
Yeah.
Right now or in general?
In general.
In general.
That
So-
exaggeration can become a habit, and it's technically a
It
lie.
can. I
so-
have some family members on my
Fabricating the truth.
mother's side, and their stories are wild, and you're like, no way.
Yeah, so I'll go back.
I got some wild stories, but they're all real.
Yeah, yours are real. No, my daughter had a friend who like came over and tell stories, and I looked at my daughter one time when she left. I'm like, there is no way that is true. There's just that doesn't happen to people. And
Was
then
it an
she's-
Aldi story?
No, no. But
Just
anyways,
Whole Foods. That's all.
Just Whole. Well, I have been to Aldi. It's
You have?
quite an interesting place.
think so. They have good lamb.
I know. I told you that.
Hold on. They got lamb?
Yes,
Yeah.
lamb.
Aldi's?
Yes,
Hold
it's,
on.
it's cheaper.
hold
Okay,
on,
hold on.
Hold
Let
on.
me tell you one thing.
Lamb at
Yeah.
Aldi's.
Organic lamb.
Girl, that ain't lamb.
Yes.
That is something else.
No, they have the organic meat at Aldi's is actually cheaper than Whole Foods, and it's the
There's
same
organic
brand.
meat at Aldi's.
Grass fed, which is better than organic.
Okay.
I can't go into all the explanations.
Yes, you
but-
can. You
Yeah,
No,
can.
you,
please do.
you
No,
should
no,
do it.
please do.
Grass fed is actually
Grass-fed's
better than organic.
How's that?
Because they're
Linnea?
not putting in things to make it organic. It just is. But they're not like putting
just is.
fertilizer
So they just,
on it.
it
Look,
just is. Okay.
you should go do your own research on these things. I can't.
Do your own
Go do your
fishing.
own fishing. Okay, but anyways,
Well, Linnea can tell you a lot. She'll tell you she knows a
I
lot.
think
too.
Jim's.
I don't get it. How do you tell us like the difference between grass fed
Yeah.
and organic, and then you bring us a bag of cookies every single like
It's organic ingredients in the cookies, and it's made with coconut sugar, which actually isn't that much better for you than real sugar, but it is.
It's a little better.
It is
It's-
better. It's
wow.
not refined sugar. It's
like stevia.
no stevia is
It's so bad.
so bad for you. But
Stevia
no,
make your eyes
no.
swell.
If
Yeah.
you
Maybe
doesn't make
that's
your-
what was in the tea.
That was who knows what was in that man's tea. I'm pretty
A
sure
little
it was
bit of
more
water
than-
with stevia.
Wait, can I say one thing though about the Argentinian president? Because Jim was talking about all those gangs and what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And remember the Argentinian president when he took over, he started.
They've voted in a
Yeah.
far right, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
all right.
president. And the gangs and the violence there was so bad. And when he got into office, he's like, what can I do? What can I do? Do you know what he said? I don't think he was doing an interview with Tucker Carlson. He said, I started praying. I got a group of people together and we prayed because he's a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, we stood against it in the spirit. And now their crime rates are like nothing. And they just burned, what, 50 million something dollars of cocaine that they found?
Yeah.
They lit it on fire. They're like, no, we're not even going to keep this. We're literally like disposing of it. Can you light cocaine on fire?
But he stood, and I think that's
Yes.
the biggest thing. I think
Yes.
the majority.
But there was a point where he stood.
That's it. I think the majority of people just talk about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it talks about being alert, keep awake. I think that's a key point in Scripture as well because there's a discipline to that.
Yeah.
Like you have to keep awake.
Yeah.
Even when you get weary, right? Keeping awake means that you're falling asleep. There's
Right.
things that are pushing back. So us as Christians, we need to stand against that. And there's a discipline to that.
Right.
Where a lot of the times we don't. And you know, he stood by that.
He did.
He got a group of people. They prayed and they pushed forward.
That's why you pray for your leaders.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Because it's even more powerful coming from your leaders, and just the judgment where Texas can arrest these. You know, I mean, why wouldn't the Biden administration let the Texas law enforcement arrest illegal immigrants
and
right?
get and dispose of
And
them.
so it goes all the way to
Unless-
the
yeah.
Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court goes, no, you can arrest them. You know what that is? What are you praying? Judgment shall return unto righteousness.
That's verse
That's what you're
15
praying.
of Psalm 94.
Yeah, and the upright in heart shall follow it.
Hey.
All right, so you know these prayers you can point to situations where what you're praying for actually happens, especially if your whole church will do it together.
Yeah.
But
So anyway, back to my Olympic sweatshirt. So this is good news. Riley Gaines has been a really big factor in fighting against transgenders in sports. Men coming into women's sports and winning. Remember, she was supposed to win. They ended up giving it to Leah Thomas, but this makes me happy. This actually made me smile. Leah Thomas is barred from the 2024 Paris Olympics because she tried to compete for the women's team, and the French Olympics team said, no, you can't do that. You were born a male. You took all these hormones to make you a female, but we're not going to allow that in the Olympic sport. So I'm hoping that translates, because even the Canadian, remember when I was talking a couple weeks ago, maybe months ago now, about the Canadian powerlifter who is a male by birth but came into the female powerlifting scene and won it and got a bid to the Olympics. But and Leah Thomas tried to appeal it, and they said no. They said the decision is a call. And then, they said no against Leah Thomas. And Leah Thomas says the decision is a call for
Leah
trans
Thomas
women.
is a man.
Still has all of his parts, okay? But this is a call for trans women to fight for equal rights. Come on. That's crazy.
But how is Canada allowed to have the weightlifter?
Well, I don't know. Like, it hasn't, this is my thing, though. Like, that person because Canada doesn't have a law against that. But the Olympics obviously
do. But the Olympics can shut that down.
Can shut it down.
Yeah.
So why they let the...
We don't know if it's there yet. This is just the first one that's gone.
right.
That the World Aquatics bans transgender women, which is post-male puberty, from women's races. Good.
Why don't they just stay in their own sport, though? Like, why? You know what I mean?
Leah Thomas was a number, 83 or
83rd.
60 something in the men's, and then
Ranked
went
man
to
in the world.
women's and was number
Went to
one.
women's and won the college.
Yeah.
He tied this girl.
They should just give him more participation medal.
Well, they said
they gave it to him.
They gave it to him.
They
Riley
gave it-
Gaines is phenomenal. If
And
you don't
Riley
follow
Gaines,
her,
they took it from her
took it
and
from
gave
her.
it to Lee Thomas.
Leah Thomas.
Yes, okay.
Anyways, okay. I feel like I might have talked about this before, but I have some updates. So 47 Somalians in Minnesota were charged with stealing $250 million in food aid from children
I'm
during
surprised
the
that's
pandemic.
on Care 11 in the mornings. That's really surprising.
This was the largest pandemic relief fraud scheme charged to date. Okay?
All Somalis.
$250 million.
All
250.
Somalis.
Let me tell you a crazy wild story. I have a friend who owns...
Is that okay to say if I say they're all Somalis?
They are all Somalians. 47
states. I mean,
Somalians.
it's
No,
proven.
listen to this. This gets deeper because the Minnesota is, first of all, our flag looks like the Somalian flag. But Minnesota is the second largest place besides Somalia for Somalians to live. So I have a friend who owns some apartment buildings in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and he was selling one of them, and a Somalian gentleman bought it. And he says to the guy who he's selling it to, like, hey, I want to buy it, but I want to pay cash. Okay, we're talking like millions of dollars in cash for this building. So he's like, I'll come to the building, I'll bring you the money, and we'll call it that. And the guy's like, whoa, the guy from Minnesota who owns all these buildings, like, whoa, I can't do that. Like, this needs to go through my bank. I can't just show up to my bank and say, like, hey, here's $3 million in a bunch of briefcases. And the Somalian gentleman's like, oh, that's going to be a problem for me because I don't work through banks. Why? And where are you getting all this money from? Okay. So that's one story. So this person has contacts with other businessmen in Minnesota. And there was this other guy who was saying that Somalians are starting to buy places where the police were defunded, right? So nobody wants to go in there. No one wants to live there.
In their own communities.
There's vacant. So these Somalians are coming in and now buying apartment buildings or places where we no longer have businesses operating out of, because remember when COVID happened, everybody started working from home, blah, blah, blah. So mainly where the police are defunded, Somalians are coming in and buying these apartment buildings. They're saying that they're child daycare centers. So your first floor, let's say, is filled with like old people who looks like it's child daycare centers. Then the rest of it you fill with other Somalian people
that live there.
That live there.
This is a place they can live now.
And because the Somalians are saying it's daycare center and that they're helping Somalian people, they're getting grants from the Minnesota government of $9,000 a month per like certain square footage of the building. So our Minnesota government, this is Minnesota, I don't know about other states.
Your taxes.
Your tax dollars are paying these Somalian schemes, right? Like Jim said, money out of our tax-paying dollars so that they can fund all this illegal. Who knows what they're doing?
They're
right?
calling them daycare centers.
They're calling them
but
daycare centers.
They're housing Somalis
All
there.
there's Somalians
and so
in it.
Somalis are living there, and it kind of reminds me of the whole thing that with Israel, how the Palestinians were
good
just
point.
sending Ronnie Levy about maybe
A year ago.
14 months ago. Yeah, says they're coming into the West Bank. And they're just taking the land, and they're just going there. And because they're there and they build something, right, you can't get them out. And it just seems very interesting to me. So they purchase it, and they're moving in. It's a place for them to live.
Yes.
Upstairs is a place for them to move in and live now. It's a front type business, right?
But they're getting government money to pay for it, right?
$9,000.
And let's not forget that the government's already paying for illegal immigrants to live at La Quinta in
down over here
Brooklyn
by
Park.
the stream.
What is that off of 55? The Red Roof Inn, other places in Minnesota, right? We're constantly doing this. But I'll say, I was reading. I don't know who the guy is, but the guy running against Ilhan Omar brought up this week that he believes that Ilhan Omar is using taxpayer dollars illegally and pocketing the money and using it to pay her husband. So he's like, there's a scheme within her organization, and this is one of the platforms that he's running on against her, is that she's pocketing and benefiting herself and her community.
Something about like $2 million or
what is it? $2.78 million to her husband's firm that she has paid out of her
campaign
money, which is illegal, right? Because I guess that's illegal. It should be illegal. But good for that guy. I hope he wins. But look at that. You put Ilhan Omar in, and now what do we have?
Against that her whole area is Somali, though.
I know, but
okay. They're gonna, is he Somali?
No, he's a black guy. I don't know his name. I wish I knew his name. The article is attached. Anyways, I'm just saying, there's a scheme with the Somalian people in Minnesota, so you need to pray against it.
Well, we've got their flag now.
Yeah, we do.
That's our flag.
That's Governor Waltz and what's his name? Who's the guy who came from Ohio and ran in Minnesota because he couldn't win in Ohio?
Mayor
Jacob Fry. Oh,
yeah, all those woke dudes.
Yeah.
Tim Minette is her husband, right?
Yeah, he is. He's a winner. Anyways, this was interesting. This is what I'll end on. There's a computer made out of human brains that could solve the world's energy crisis. The scientists, this is out of Swedish, have created the world's first living computer that is made out of human brain tissue. Is that crazy? This clump of brain cells that was grown in a lab can send information between each other and acts like a circuit board. It is a special use of energy because it's a living neuron and it can use over 1 million times less energy than current digital processors currently use.
Mm-hmm.
That was
the title to these things is kind of big, right? Because people they'll look for certain, and if you have the right words. I don't know. Do you think this is a dumb title for this one? You title it "The Scheme Dash The Russians Are Coming."
No.
I like it.
Or do you go? Do you? Because sometimes it's the order of the words. Do you go? The Russians are coming. Dash the scheme.
Dot.
Yeah.
The Russians are coming. Dot. The scheme.
All right.
Wasn't there the British are coming? Wasn't that
Yeah, that's why we.
Paul Revere? Yeah. Okay, the guy running against Ilhan Omar is Don Samuels. Good for him.
Go Don, go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really.
Go Don, go.
We're quite simple here. We're the final hour
Speak
podcast.
for yourself. Speak for yourself. Isn't that a podcast? Oh, he just.
That's wrong to put him on the Bible.
Yeah.
It is. Maybe he could use some prayers.
We should
have you ever seen that little boy? He's a Chinese little boy. I don't know why. I get all these hilarious Chinese little things. And this little boy was trying to study for a test, and he had his book page open, and he was going like this, trying to absorb it. And he's crying, and he's like throwing the words up in his face. So maybe we can do that to fight in with the Bible. God can save anyone. Wasn't it Jehu or somebody else? Remember when we were doing the whole thing where he was against it and then all of a sudden God changed his heart and maybe it wasn't Jehu. Maybe I just am thinking of
Jehu fought for Ahab.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then wound up killing his whole family and everyone that knew him. He didn't kill Ahab, but he killed Jezebel.
What a time to live back in those days.
Jehu was a bad guy. He was a bad guy, but he's my hero.
I think I would have wanted to work in the medical field back then because someone would come in with a cut and you'd be like, what happened? Right? So you'd get all the gossip because you'd have to ask everyone what
all
they're
the tea.
Yeah, I would love that.
I don't know. I'd be a blacksmith.
Would you be a blacksmith?
Or a fisherman.
All I know is I'm going to go get me some supernatural milk.
Yeah, 5 gallons.
You won't regret it. It's worth every dollar. Every dollar.
Lonaiah, I don't even do milk like that. I'm going to try it. Just because you painted it out to be so good.
Whole Foods used to have these glass bottles of milk that was the best, and you have to shake it because the something would like float to the fat would float.
Yeah, but do you know what kind of milk it was?
Well, they don't have that anymore
What
because
was it?
The glass bottles?
Was it grass-fed or?
no, it was organic.
They used to deliver glass bottles too to your porch.
I know. That's why people always ask if it was a milkman's baby.
Who? You?
Yeah, who asked that? Who would ask you that?
That was back in the day. Like if you didn't think
Who
your
would ask
sibling
you-
looked like you, it was like, are you the milkman's baby?
Not in my culture, but yeah, I get, we had something very similar.
Did you?
Yeah, it's a Swan's guy.
Oh, there's still Schwann's trucks
No,
going
yeah.
out.
Comes
I
to
know.
my circle once
Do
a
you
week.
get it?
Do you
Did you
get
get
it?
anything?
And it's okay if you do.
Do you
And
gotta
then
go?
Israel. Don't forget, guys, we're taking a trip to Israel. If you'd
Yeah.
like to know more,
Oh, I haven't done that yet.
No.
So we gotta write that in the notes. Listen,
I just did it.
all right.
Yeah, you did a great job. Join us
Here I am.
as we visited the Holy Land.
Wait, do it now, Jerry. Here I am. October 6th through the 18th, 2024, the Final Hour podcast is hosting a tour to Israel. We're excited about this tour. As of now, we have 30 people that are signed up.
31.
31. Thank you. We can have as many as 100. And so I'm just believing that the Lord puts the number of people that he wants. We can have up to 2 buses. The cost is $4,500. The tour, JFK to Tel Aviv, round trip. You have 2 meals a day, hotels taken care of. And so you're going to have to get to JFK. I know that you think that what a terrible place to go, but there's tours going all over Israel right now. My mother is, as we speak, in a tour with Billy Brim. And so, we're still in the Galilee. We're still in Jerusalem. We're still at the Dead Sea. We're still at all these places. Check that out. Pray about that. And to get to that, you just go to the Final Hour podcast website and you can see Israel in the top right-hand corner. I think our producer, he always puts something up for that. Please pray about it. And it's 12 days. It's a really good price, $4,500. Okay, and put in a...
Great. And now you got to end the podcast.
Yeah.
What?
Now you got to end the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for joining us today and considering going to Israel with us. And thank you, Baltimore, for hanging out with us
Going to
today.
Israel.
Yeah,
Yes.
Baltimore's coming to Israel. Baltimore, John.
My queen.
That's his wife.
John is not my queen.
John is not his queen.
His wife his name is Chelsea. She
Yes.
works here.
She's his queen.
Yes.
Not
That's
my
who his
queen.
queen is.
but-
Yes. Awkward silent milk. Get a gallon.
See you at Whole Foods. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.
Yes.